Are you ready to embark on a journey through the realms of imagination and collaboration? Well, hold on to your bookmarks, everyone, because today's episode will do just that. We are so excited to welcome the visionary founders of Strong Women, Strange Worlds to our podcast today. We're sitting down with them for a deep dive into the world of speculative fiction and to explore their journey in building the concept of Strong Women, Strange Worlds. We'll uncover the reasons behind its creation, where the idea originated, and when it all began. But that's not all. We have a big announcement here at Angie and Christie right now. We're teaming up with them to celebrate strong characters, underrepresented voices, and the sheer magic of storytelling. So whether you're curled up on the couch or tuning in from your commute, buckle up because this collaboration is about to ignite your imagination like never before. Let me introduce you to the two founders of Strong Women, Strange World, Terry Bruce and Ann Neidham. Thank you so much for coming on. Would you like
for joining us?
Yes. Would you like to say a little bit more about yourselves?
Well, hi, I'm Terry Bruce. I write science fiction, fantasy, and a smattering of horror. My fantasy falls into the realm of contemporary fantasy / new weird slipstream sometimes. And I write short stories and novels. My first novel came out in 2010, which is 14 years ago. I do that math wrong every time. I'm up here in beautiful Down East Maine, where I moved up here 8 years ago. I want to say 6 years ago, 8 years ago, and produce stories that are getting stranger and stranger because I think Stephen King is right. Maine is great for folk horror, and it's a little weird up here. And so my stories have been getting weirder since I moved up here.
I love that.
Me too. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Terry. Anne, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thanks. So I'm Ann Neidham. I have written, as long as I can remember, I've wanted to be a writer. I've written stuff in a variety of genres, from high fantasy series, middle grade fantasy, also some nonfiction, since I'm also an artist as well as a writer. Recently, I've been doing mostly short stories and poetry and then illustrating them. So I have a collection that's going to come out later this year of short stories, poetry, and art. I, in terms of sort of feel of my stuff, I do anything but horror. I particularly like things that are about people trying to be good people. Obviously, not everybody succeeds all the time, but at least working for that and looking for the best in each other and trying to find reasons for joy and hope. So that's kind of the general tone of most of my work, although it's in a pretty broad range of sort of subgenres of spec fic.
I love it. It sounds like you write the feel-good kind of stories, which goodness, we all need in our lives.
Anybody who classifies Becky Chambers as like cozy science fiction, take that and then go about 3 shades cozier, and that's Anne. It's like Becky Chamber looks like horror compared to like Anne's writing. Anne's writing is just like a beautiful warm hug. So
but I do want to make sure that it's not necessarily like fluffy beach read feel good. It's not necessarily like just, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. We need that too, but but like I'm trying to make things with a little depth and reason to think and reason to, push yourself a little, but that ultimately we can come out of that feeling better. So it's not, I'm not trying to be frivolous. I'm just trying to be joyful.
Which we all need, I think, a little bit of joy. So, and I love books that have that. And then at other times I love a good horror. So it just depends a lot of times on what you need. Just a specific feeling. You need to be immersed in a specific world, and it's good that you're there for each of them. So I can really appreciate that.
I feel like Anne and I may be on like different ends of the same spectrum, because like my horror is like psychological horror. It's not,
your horror's not.
It's not slasher.
People could go on that range.
Yeah. I'm definitely not like at the slasher gory end. But I feel like when Anne said like she wants people to read her books and come out feeling like they're a better person, and I feel like people read my work and feel like people are more terrible after reading my work. It's more like I'm on the dark, depressing end of like analyzing the human species, and Anne is on the joyful, hopeful end of like humans are better than we give them credit for.
All right,
That's
so
great.
read Terry's books first.
There we go. Get really
and
depressed.
then read mine.
Yeah.
And then after you die, yeah, you need something to kind of uplift you a little bit.
I love it. Oh, that's kind of nice.
Oh,
And
that's
it's kind of
great.
nice to have both of you joining together to come up with this collective group of women that, first of all, the name of it, Strong Women, Strange Worlds, to me, right there, you know everything that you need to know about this group. But can you let us know a little bit more about, first of all, how did you meet and how did this whole concept come about?
In 2021, so a year into the pandemic, which I always kick myself when I think back to this. Like, it took us over a year to like come up with this concept, and I don't know why we were so slow on the uptake. But Anne and I and a few other women authors, speculative fiction authors, were part of this other professional association, and they do readings at conventions. And that year, BosCon, which is in February in Boston, which is a science fiction fantasy convention, was virtual. And so they asked this professional association to put together a panel of authors to do a virtual reading. And Anne and I and several other women ended up coordinating that reading for this group and holding the reading. And afterwards, we all kind of said to each other, that was amazing. And we could be doing this all the time. Why have we never done this before? So we ended up spinning off from that other group and starting our own group just to do online readings. And we beta tested a few different iterations in March of 2021. And then in June of 2021, we launched full time doing 2 readings a month. And we do 2 readings a month since June 2021 continuously, except for we take a little 6-week, 8-week break around the holidays. But otherwise, for the most part, yeah, we've just been doing that.
Oh, that's amazing.
But you make
That's
it sound
amazing.
like it was like pretty simple. I'm pretty sure that it must have like gone ups and downs of how all this. So like, did you know Anne before this reading? Or is that where you met?
It's pretty much where we met. Like, I don't think we'd really intersected, even though we belong to the same group and we're both in New England. I had lived closer to her before I moved up here in Maine. And so we go to a lot of the same conventions that are in Boston, Aresia in January, BosCon, ReaderCon in July, and Quincy, Mass. And we belong to the same association, which always has a table and does group readings at all of those conventions. And I think we just sort of never intersected, or at least not like buddy, like have a conversation. So yeah, it was kind of serendipity that we did in February 2021.
So how many people were in the original group of women who decided to start doing Strong Women, Strange Worlds?
Me
Maybe
and
about
Anne,
6.
Kathy, Sarah, Elaine, Randy, LJ. I think that was everybody, right? So 7, I guess.
And how did the meetings start taking place? Did you just kind of come up with it like as a group? Oh, we think we need to do this, and then kind of evolve as time went on? Or were there like a lot of meetings involved? Like, how did that come about? I mean, just the organization seems like it would be pretty significant, given there were 7 people and trying to come up with the logistics of trying to get this started. What was that like?
Do you mind
We
taking that one,
started, we started when we were doing sort of some test runs, some proof of concept runs. We did something like 6 readings in 6 weeks or something. Crazy.
It was like 2 weeks. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
To try different different times a day, different days a week. And so it was like there was not even time to think, I think, for that first little bit. And then we took a month or 2 off to be like, okay, let's take this information we've now gained and figure out what we want to do with it. And then after pretty soon, a couple of those original people sort of, after helping us get through the concept, were like, okay, I'm going to step back a little now. So like at a certain point, Elaine Isaac stepped back to where now she's a regular host with us, but she doesn't go to the organizational meetings. And Randy stepped back. And so it kind of got focused down a little more on, okay, now we've got this concept and we've got it. We know we're going to do it. Who are the people who are going to actually carry it forward?
And did you know from the start what you wanted to do? Like, did you know it was going to be like readings? Did you know, like, I know that you said that you were at the conference and you really liked that, but did you know it was going to be live, for example, versus like recordings? Did you know where you were going to get all of these authors from? Or like even the concept of, did you want it to be spec fic right from the beginning?
So a lot of that format we got from Broad Universe, which is the organization that they are women and non-binary, underrepresented, gender identity writers of spec fic. Mm-hmm. They do the rapid fire reading format where you have a certain number of authors and they each have a relatively short time to read. So those aspects were what we had grown out of, and we sort of said, do we want to change any of that? No, we're pretty happy with those pieces. And again, there were live readings, and their readings were generally in person at these cons. And it was that second wave that had of COVID that had come up suddenly. BosCon had been planned to be in person, and we had planned to do this reading in person at the con. And then all of a sudden it was this pivot. You can't do it in person. You were going all virtual. And so I think, in answer to Terry's question, why didn't we come up with this idea sooner? Everybody thought we were just going to go back to in person originally. And so doing it on Zoom in the first place hadn't been the original plan. That was the plan B. And then we were like, that actually worked really well. How about if we do it as a plan A going forward?
The pandemic did a lot of weird stuff, but it did a lot of good stuff too. Like, I think a lot of good things ended up happening out of it too, such as your group for sure. But
well, I just wanted to add on to that just a little bit we had the format and we had pieces. Like we knew we kind of wanted it to be like random, like we advertised it as kind of a tasting menu. And so we knew we wanted like mixed panels, but what we were beta testing is like, how long should people read for? And so we did like, 4 minutes on author, up to 10 minutes an author, and trying to find like, at what point does the audience zone out and it's too long versus it's too short and you can't really get enough of the story. And then we were looking at like, do evenings Eastern time zone work? Do weekends work? Do weekdays work? And so we were kind of trying to find that sweet spot, and that was a lot of the iteration. But also, you asked, did we know where we were going to get these authors? And we thought we did. So this is still funny to me 3 years later. But we were like, sure, we know plenty of people. And so we started reaching out to authors we knew, because Anne and I and the other authors who were in this group are all speculative fiction authors. And we're like, hey, we know all these people in this association, and we all know writers, and you know the big names that are out there in our genres. So we actually blew through most of those. It was like 30 people, it turned out. We were like, it's so many people. And then we actually made the list. It was like 30 or 50 people. And we blew through that list of inviting people to read with us pretty fast. And then we were kind of like, I guess that's all the women and non-binary speculative fiction authors on the entire planet. What are we going to do now? We kind of floundered for a month or two. And then we were like, okay, let's do some Google research. And when we started researching and actually started looking, and at first it was hard. It was like, where do you find authors? And then I started realizing I get Goodreads newsletters, and some of them they have genre categories. I could mine that. And then, who's speaking at BosCon and Aresia and, some of these other conventions, and mining convention rosters. And then, there's publishers. I could go to the publisher website and see what new releases are coming out. And so we started finding places and putting our thinking caps on. And I have to look, but I believe we're approaching our 2000th author that we've outreached to. And I have a backlog list of authors to reach out to that's a couple hundred people long. It turns out there are a lot of us, a lot of women and non-binary authors of speculative fiction. It's just, we don't get the publicity, we don't get the marketing the way that maybe our male counterparts do, but also B, like there's just a very small percentage of authors who get sort of all the marketing and publicity and make all the lists, and people can name them off the tips of their fingers and the top of their head. But there's a lot of us out there that are sort of, just working away, flying under the radar, and not getting those accolades. And so that's been the best part for me, is unearthing these people and going, hey, new friends, but also like, hey, if there's something I can do to help uplift your work, and the cool stuff that you're doing, that's amazing. And I love that.
We love that too. I think,
and that's, I think, the biggest part of, when I got to know you in the very beginning, is how helpful you were with my own when I was publishing, and when my books were coming out, and all the information you gave me in order to help my release go. Because it's true. I mean, a lot of times you don't get a lot of that marketing help that you need from your publisher, or if you're doing it alone, if you're, then you're trying to find an audience for your books. And no matter whether you're traditionally published or self-publishing, finding an audience is hard. It really is, especially when you're writing speculative fiction, because it is, as far as the market wise, I mean, it's less than what you would for contemporary book you would find. So, I know we're out there. It's just it's kind of nice having a group where you can go and have like-minded authors, like-minded people who you can talk to and get more information about how they're publishing, what they're doing, what's successful, what's not successful. I kind of like that. So when with your group itself, do you sign people up? I mean, do you have like a forum where you guys talk to each other and do that kind of thing, or is it just basically the reading?
So we've been a little hamstrung by capacity. And so we've got a very small dedicated core of us, all volunteers, who put on 2 readings a month. And then we record the readings, and there's a bunch of editing that happens, and then they go up on our YouTube channel, so anybody who's missed the readings can see those videos. And so we're producing 7 videos every 2 weeks on top of the readings, and the readings involve, outreach. Not everybody we reach out to responds to us. I think some of our emails maybe go to spam. Some people think it's spam and they're like, this doesn't seem legit. We're outreaching to people at all stages of their career. So, some of the very famous authors are like, I don't need you guys. I'm not coming on your getting a little reading kind of stuff. So they're, never respond. So usually we have to outreach to about 8 or 9 authors for every acceptance. So it's kind of a 1-to-9 ratio. But now word is starting to spread, and we're getting authors recruiting other authors. They're like, hey, I've heard about this thing, and so they're signing themselves up, which is freeing up a little bit of capacity from the volunteers. We don't have to spend quite so much time doing outreach and marketing to the authors. Now we're trying to grow the audience, and so we've kind of put time there, but we have a number of plans in place. We do have a Discord. So after authors read with us, they can come into Discord and we exchange advice and resources and stuff. And, people have questions and just hang out. And our authors are from all over the globe. So it's also really nice to be able to network with people from other countries. We are having a virtual writing retreat for our past author readers coming up in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. It's the 15th, 16th, 17th of March. So literally 2 weeks from when we're recording this. And we are starting to get into, we've done some anthologies. Over the holidays, we do a holiday party. And part of that is doing some round robin stories. So we actually post a writing prompt. Authors sign up to participate. We divide them into teams of 6, and then they go into a shared Google Doc and for the story they're assigned to and the prompt they're assigned to, and they just write like a couple paragraphs, and then the next author jumps in and just continues on that. So we ended up producing 5,000 to 8,000 word stories in December, and we packaged them up together in an anthology. So we now have an anthology of original round robin stories. That's the 2nd year we've done that. We're looking at doing some book funnel group promos together to help authors kind of put all their freebies together on one landing page. We'll all cross promote and try to help build their audience. So we're doing a lot of stuff, and we're trying to branch out to a lot of mutual support and some marketing support, and keeping everything around like that flavor of like that sampler platter, and just kind of that you never know what you're going to get till you bite into one of these chocolates and see what it is. It could be horror, it could be cozy fantasy, it could be aliens, you never know.
But I feel like you're the
fantasy.
I feel like you're the one-stop shop, it's such a great group because once you're part of it, then, like everything that you listed about Discord, where if you have a question, you can go ask somebody who might have had the experience that you're having or vice versa. And then the anthology sounds so cool. And I have some questions for you after. And then the readings where you can meet even more, I can see finding even critique partners through your group and these bonds that form, for a lifetime. So that's fantastic. And before we move on to something else, I just wanted to ask, how many minutes did you end up choosing? When you did all these tests, how did you, where did it land? Do you have 5 or 6 readings? Do you do 5, 7, 8 minutes? How does an episode go?
It is 6 authors for 8 minutes each. And they have 8 minutes to talk. So if they have to introduce their story and set it up, if they're doing a giveaway, we usually have the authors do a giveaway, because then we can collect email addresses and we give those to the author to sign up for their newsletters. So hopefully the authors get a little marketing lift and some new fans and subscribers. We decided we wanted to do live sessions too, because we love that audience interaction and that real-time interaction. We kind of are, at least from my perspective, Anne might disagree, but I think of Strong Women, Strange Worlds as just like an umbrella for a family. And we're trying to build like cohesion there among the authors, but also with the audience. We have regulars who come to every session. We recognize their names. So we love doing it live. We use the chat box and we encourage people to post sort of color commentary in real time and react to the readings. We send that chat log to the authors after the event so that they can see and have a record of like, people were saying all this amazing stuff about your writing in real time as they were listening to you. So yeah, we're really trying to build like community, and we're kind of like, we're very broad in our topics of woman and non-binary and also speculative fiction, because we're just like, we're a big umbrella and we want everybody to come under our umbrella, like come in and get a hug and hang out with us and be part of this family. And so that's kind of really the vibe we're trying to do. So
there are also another axis on which we try to be really broad is the kind of publishing, whether that's, traditional big publishing house novels, whether that's short stories in magazines, whether that's self-publishing, whether that's publishing on a Patreon kind of model. As long as you have work out that is available for people to read, when they see you're reading with us and they fall in love with it, they have to be able to find more, because otherwise that's just mean, right?
Totally agree.
just the tease, yeah.
But as long as you've got work out there to share with people, we're not snobs about how you're getting it out to people. And so that's another way in which we're trying to bring together people who might otherwise sort of be in their own sort of segments, and we're trying to bring them together. And also, I guess also format, like in terms of short stories, poetry, novels, picture books. We haven't yet got anyone who's a full graphic novel, but we'd love to.
I've invited many, they never respond.
Oh no.
If you're out there listening to this and you're a speculative fiction graphic novelist, we want you, please. Because we also show a slide next to each author. So we show their book cover and the blurb, but we've also done some authors who've been like illustrators or had illustrated works, and we will show the artwork while they're reading along as well. So that's also, something we really love about this format, is it gives us that ability to do that and highlight work where like the layout is part of the work too.
That sounds fun.
I know.
I love that it's a big umbrella that people are coming in, because there are all types of creatives out there, and to be able to have that support is fabulous. I love that.
So I was gonna say, like, yeah, just building on what Anne was saying, is that we also take a very broad definition to diversity as well. And we try to be very purposeful too. We seek diversity in all its forms. So we try to purposefully reach out to very young authors, as well as elderly authors, whether they're new debut and elderly, or they're just, scions of the field who've like been publishing for a long time. Certainly race, gender identity, geography, any kind of disability, anything like that. Like we purposely try to go out and seek out people. So it's not more of the same, which is also kind of a feeling sometimes when you go to like the bookstores, and it's kind of like, oh, look, it's epic fantasy, it's George R.R. Martin, it's Brandon Sanderson, it's, certain niches that you see over and over. And we've uncovered just weird, but in the best way stuff. Like I did not know, I've said this before, but I didn't know like science fiction haikus was even a genre, like sci-fi haikus. It's a genre. And there are people who like explicitly write that, and mostly that, or only that. Like, okay, that's awesome. We had one author who came on and sang for us, played guitar and sang. We haven't really like highlighted filkers, but people who are writing original songs could potentially, if it's a science fiction, fantasy, horror song, they could fall under our umbrella. So yeah, we're just really trying to just highlight how much weird and wonderful and amazing stuff is out there.
I agree. At the end of the day, all you want is a good story, like you just want to read a good story. And that doesn't always just mean the same people that you see in the libraries and the bookstores all the time. There are good stories everywhere. You just got to find them. So I'm so happy that you guys have this no rule, big umbrella, come and join us kind of attitude. It's fantastic.
And that you're being introduced to new, like my fantasy, I mean, I basically read most of it when I was in my elementary and early teens and stuff. And I kind of got away from it after I hit college. And I'm trying to go back now that I'm older because I love it. But now there are so many new authors out there. There's so many, because like all the old ones that I know I have my traditional favorite, but I really want new books and I want new authors and I want a new experience that's not quite the same as what I grew up with, but also still has that feeling that I loved, that fantasy that I loved about it. And so I'm really excited because, especially with this collaboration, because we'll get to have new voices coming in, new voices that have their own experiences, but that I've never been introduced to before. And I'm really really actually not even kind of really excited about that.
And actually, it's a good intro to maybe coming into our collaboration with you. Terry, would you like to go through a little bit of why you contacted us, and maybe there was something missing in the Strong Women Strange World realm that maybe we can fulfill for them?
Yeah. So we had started a podcast 2 years ago now, I think, which was a natural sort of expansion for us. So I have some ideas in my head of what I would like to do and expand the podcast, but I lack the technical expertise and also the time. But I've always thought that like a radio station of short readings would be, great. And I would love to do that. And we have found a volunteer who started a podcast for us, and she was doing interviews and short readings with the authors who read with us, which I was also thrilled we had the opportunity to another avenue for supporting authors and getting their work out there. And then unfortunately that volunteer had to step back. So our podcast has been defunct for probably about a year now, year and a half. Might have been longer. Time has gone wonky since COVID. I have no concept of time anymore. And so it's really been weighing on me that I was like, I really want to get the podcast up and running again and do more with that. And yeah, you guys and me had reconnected not that long ago. And then I was like, oh, a partnership would be great, because I'm also not about reinventing the wheel and like partnerships and any opportunities for collaboration. So I had decided to reach out to you guys, your experienced podcasters and interviewers. And I love what you guys do. And I know that we have a whole pipeline of authors who'd love to be interviewed and love to get in front of new audience. And so it seemed a natural fit. So that was kind of my thinking when I had sent the original email.
And we were super excited about it because, first of all, Angie and I are spec fic writers, so it fits right in. And to encourage women writers of every diversity, genre, age category, anything to us is it's fantastic for us. And we do what we do because we love to interview and talk to people. So it's just going to be fun, I think.
I'm excited. Yeah. One of the things that we always say is that writing can be isolating. And I love the fact that you have a group where women, non-binary authors can come together and just be with each other, and get that support and find common ground with each other and get their books out there for the world to see, because that's one of the goals is being able to have your work found. And it's so hard sometimes, when you're trying to do it by yourself. You kind of feel down sometimes because you're not able to get that validation that, hey, it is worth it. It's worth, putting in the effort. It's worth, even though you feel like you love your books and stuff, but it's also nice to be able to have that group out there to support you. So I think that's one of the things that Christie and I were really excited about when we received your email. And then trying to come up with this is it's been a lot of fun. And what I really enjoy is the fact that you get the readings, and having the authors read their own work and, to an audience. That's such a great idea. It's such a great idea. I love it.
I think it does hit a little differently when, it's the author reading versus a third party. Like even I know when I was doing the audiobook for my novel Hereafter, and I would get the draft from the audiobook narrator, and I'd be like, oh no, she's angry. You're saying it very perky. She's actually angry. This is supposed to be like sarcastic and dark. Like, the inflection is not quite how I was envisioning it in my head. And so it was very interesting to see like how people interpret work and how they hear the cadence of the narrator or the characters. And so yeah, when I read my work, I always appreciate the opportunity to be like, okay, this is my intention. Now, of course, once it leaves your hands and it's in the hands of the reader, you have no control over how they interpret it and how they take it. And if they interpret it differently, then maybe it's a failure as the writer of making my intention clear on the page. So there's that. And I take that feedback. I'm like, oh, okay, apparently that wasn't clear and people are reading it in a way I didn't intend it. But it's always nice to be able to go, okay, this is how it's supposed to sound. This is what I
Oh,
meant.
oh, I have
And
to say that.
also,
Yes, go ahead, Anne.
I was just going to say also that at the end that, there is a little bit of an opportunity to ask the author directly, what was
Yes.
behind this? And we do our little, we always bill it as question and answer. And people don't always have a specific question they want to ask, but it always ends up being at least just sort of a little conversation among the authors. And the audience absolutely loves just sitting in on that conversation, even if they didn't have a specific question they wanted to ask, to just see the authors kind of reflecting on where they were coming from and, research was, or what the inspiration was, or, what they're thinking of doing next, or, all these questions that, you're not going to get unless the actual author is actually right there.
I completely agree. It's like having the author attend a book club or something, like when you've read the book and you're like, oh my gosh, like, why did you do this? Or what was the thinking behind that? Or there's nothing like it. I totally agree. So,
So for the group itself, when you guys do the readings, is it just authors listening in on the readings, or do you have fans of the authors come in?
Oh yeah, we have fans. We had a problem in January. We had an author who's very popular on TikTok, and they broke our event registration. Basically, we had so many of their fans wanting to come to our event. We had a record-setting attendance. We had 155 people registered for that event, and we had to cut off registration because Eventbrite charges you more if you go over a certain amount, and we didn't have the budget for that, so we had to cap that. And Zoom also, you can only have 100 people in a Zoom room on the we have a paid account, but you still can only have 100 people. And so we had to cap it. But yeah, we require registration. That was one of the things we learned with our beta testing, was just posting an open Zoom link, opens you up to Zoom bombers, which was no fun. So we require registration, but the events are free, and it's cross marketing. The authors do marketing, we do marketing. And so every event is about 40 to 50% split of first-time attendees who are generally came from the authors and are fans of the authors, and us and people who are sort of the repeat visitors. We find a very high percentage of people who come thinking they're supporting just one person. I'm just a fan of Anne or Angie or Christie, so I'm just coming for this one reading to support my author, and love it so much that they're like, okay, please sign me up for your mailing list and I plan to come back. And they just become fans because it's such a fun time.
Oh, that is amazing. I love that.
And so maybe we can, Angie and I can describe a little bit what we intend to do. So we are going to be getting the names of authors from your group, and then we're the lucky ones because we get to interview them here on Angie and Christie Right Now, and get deep dives into like how they became an author, how they published, where their stories come from, how all of it came together for them. Like, we're going to be deep diving into their stories, and we're even thinking maybe we're going to do some round tables with like age or category or genre, or the doors are wide open right now, right, Angie?
Yeah, we're really excited.
So basically all the stuff that our audience loves getting this tiny little teaser taste of at the end of our events, when they are like, wait, that was really cool, and they want more, they go right on over to you and get more.
Fantastic. We can't wait. We can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And we're cross promoting on both channels. So it'll be on both of our channel, Angie Christie Right Now, but it will also be on Strange Women, Strange Worlds. Yep. And some of the information that's on our channel won't be on Strange Women. You'll have to come over to us and see it. And then other things that we're not going to be able to have will be on Strange Women.
Strong Women.
Strong Women.
Everyone does that.
We are also strange women. Yeah, I will own that identity.
No problems being labeled that.
That way you get a little bit of a taste from both of us, but then some of the information is just you'll get from both of our channels. So we're hoping that with this collaboration, all of us will have more exposure and more ability to reach more people out there, because there's a huge audience that may not have heard of either of our YouTube channels, and we want the authors who come on to be able to find a broad audience, a wider audience, and have their books get out there, and be exposed to, to potential readers who will fall in love and be lifelong fans, like, hopefully we will be as well. So that's one of the reasons why we wanted to do this collaboration. And like one of the things we're so excited about is just all of us getting out there and meeting new people. So this is pretty fun.
Yeah. My favorite part of our readings is that end piece, and we never record it. So the reading stops, we stop the recording, and then we have this free-form discussion with the authors. And I love that part. And then I often think that there's a missed opportunity that we don't record that piece because sometimes it's so fascinating, but the authors we get are just amazing. I mean, so we just had a reading yesterday, and there was one author who'd been a teacher for 34 years and then now is writing. We had authors who the book they were reading from was the first time writing in this particular genre. We had one that'd been a journalist for years and written nonfiction and now has moved into fiction. We had an author from Finland whose story like blew us out of the water and left us on a terrible cliffhanger. And we were like, wait, what is happening? You can't end the story there. So yeah, I just always like, tell me more. I want to just sit here and get everybody's life story and hear about how they got into writing. So I'm really excited for this collaboration because finally we'll have a documentation and a record of those great conversations and how people got into their writing and more about, just the genesis for their work. Because the authors we get, all of them have just been incredible people. I've been really lucky.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that we've noticed is that every author we've had come on is very unique and special in their own way. And I don't think we've ever had anyone come on where we didn't just absolutely just fall in love with them because they're just amazing people. And I think we've been very, very lucky so far, and we're really excited.
You see the repeated themes, but every person is unique, like you see the themes of perseverance, like all writers know, and you see the themes of like, at the last minute I was about to give up, which, all writers know. But every person is like, their story is always fascinating to us and unique and beautiful. So we cannot wait. And we want to thank you for thinking of us. And we will be happy to interview the authors that come out of Strong Woman, Strange World. And because this is a tradition of Angie and Christie Right Now, we're going to be asking Anne and Terry 10 speed round questions right now. Haha. So these are going to be super easy 1 or 2 word answers if you feel like it, or a pair, like whatever you feel like answering. And I'm going to alternate between Terry and Anne. So let me start with Anne. If you could possess any magical ability, which one do you think you would want?
So many exciting choices. My first temptation is to go with flying, but I feel like probably more useful would be some kind of like magical superhuman patience.
I really, really like that answer. That's very cool. I like it. Terry, what fantasy creature would you want as a pet? And do you think you'd have a crazy name for it?
Gosh, I'm glad you gave me this question, not the one you gave Anne, because my answer to that other one would make you think less of me. I think I'm at the opposite end of Anne. I don't want patience. I want wrath. I have always been fond of unicorns. So I think maybe I would love a unicorn. And I'm really bad at naming things. So, and probably to get my husband's permission to have the unicorn and stable it in the backyard, I probably have to let him name it. And he tends to name all our pets after traditional jazz artists. So like we have cats right now named Bebop, Manouche, and Bex. So my unicorn would probably be named something like Django or Duke or something like that.
Okay with that. That's really cool. I like it. And I like the unicorn. Anne, which fictional world would you like to live in for a few days? It's hard because there's so many good ones, I think.
There are a lot of really beautiful ones. It's kind of boring, but I might have to actually just go with Middle Earth just because it's so foundational to my becoming a fantasy fan in the first place, to my, I mean, there are definitely ones that have more wild and wacky and crazy things that would be fun to experience. But I think just, for going back to my roots, I might have to go with Middle Earth.
Totally with you on that one. I think spending a couple of days with Bilbo Baggins would not be a bad thing. Terry, How old were you when you saw your first scary movie? And now thinking back, do you think it was too young?
Well, I'll tell you that the movie that I remember as being terrifying was The Rescuers, which is a Disney movie. But
Yeah.
and I haven't gone back and rewatched it. It took me years to figure out what this movie was, but I remember like the diamond was stuck in the teddy bear and they ripped the teddy bear open to get the diamond. And then the girl is a ghost or something. There's a ghost in it, I think. She's like blue and she falls down a well. There's some part of like blue glowing in a well. And like all of that terrified me so badly that I was scared. And I must have been 4, 5, 6. Like I was very young. Yeah, a lot of those early Disney movies. And then we saw Bambi when I was like 6, and Dumbo, we watched at school when I was like in 3rd grade, like I must have been 8 or 9. And like the pink elephant scene was like terrifying. So yes, I think early Disney movies are not for children. They are terrifying.
No,
They are not.
Bambi almost broke my heart.
Yeah. That's horror, man. That is horror.
It truly is. Bambi, are you kidding me? Like, I mean,
Oh
that's how
my
you're going to
God.
start it? Really? Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
But I agree with you. And if you could spend a night in a haunted house, would you?
Probably not. I make absolutely no claims to being brave. I scare easily and it stays with me and it's in my imagination. And once it's in there, I can never get it out. As Terry referenced with some of those early movies that are supposed to be kids' movies, I was terrified of the Banshee from Darby O'Gill and the Little People for, I mean, years and years and years. So yeah. Now, certainly if it was one of those haunted houses that's, full on horror. Now, on the other hand, if there just happened to maybe be a spirit or something there, and maybe they weren't actually super malevolent, maybe I could go in there and have a little conversation and see what's up.
That sounds like a fun thing. Yeah. Carrie, if you found a cursed object, oh, should I be asking you this? If you found a cursed object, would you keep it or try to destroy it?
Oh God, I would destroy it in a heartbeat if I could. Yeah. In fact, one of my neighbors apparently got it when I lived in a condo, got a cursed object, and there was hauntings happening that like I was hearing people arguing early in the morning that couldn't possibly be. And when I talked to, I was like, I heard a man and a woman fighting in your unit, and it was 2 guys who lived there. And I was like, yeah, everything okay? They were like, oh yeah, that's the cursed object that we brought home from an antique store. And like, yeah, one of them was like, kept waking up with like red welts, like,
Oh
and
my
like had been
gosh.
attacked. And like, yeah, it was off the hook.
Okay, like I've got 5 ideas for stories right there. That's cool.
Mhm.
And if you could swap lives with a character from any sci-fi or fantasy novel, who would it be? It doesn't have to be a novel too. It can be a TV show or anything.
So one that struck me as particularly fun is called Tuesdays at the Castle. By Jessica Day George. It's a middle grade novel, and the main character lives in a castle, and the castle is kind of a one of these characters in its own right, and it changes around and moves around, and passages shift, and there's a different room on every Tuesday it shifts around, and she has a special bond with the castle, so she's the one who has the best ability to kind of map it and keep track of things, and that just sounds super fun.
Yes, actually, that's a lot of fun. I wish our houses could do that. That would be fun. Terry, if you could rewrite the ending of a sci-fi or fantasy series because you didn't like how it ended, which one would it be and what would you do with it?
We don't have time for me to list all of them that I would do. I hold a grudge, man. I am mad about a lot of series. Battlestar Galactica, looking at you.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Game of Thrones, the show, looking at you. You did my girl Daenerys dirty. Didn't like that at all. So those are the 2 big ones that come to mind, but there are a lot. And then anything that's ended on a cliffhanger where they got canceled.
Oh yeah, there were quite a few, especially in the early days of where they would have a really something promising come on, and then one season, and then
Netflix, the Nevers, like
yes.
Setting aside Joss Whedon.
Firefly.
Firefly, I never loved. Like it's okay, but I didn't love it. But like the Nevers, I'm like, I need to know where this is going because it's It's Victorian fantasy with space aliens, apparently. I'm like, this
Right?
is
Like, it was
this
so
is
good.
amazing.
I know.
Yeah. Where is
So
this
good.
going? And so I'm so mad that
Oh.
got canceled. Oh,
Yes,
I know
yes.
for a
There
while
was
there, like
another
I
one.
could tell what was going to get canceled by what I liked to watch on TV. It was
Yeah,
really terrible.
yeah. And
But
anything that's on Netflix.
Mhm.
yes,
Yeah.
no,
I'm not
Yeah.
even, Netflix, you're dead to me. I'm not watching your shows until it has 3 seasons because you just cancel everything after one
Well, even
season.
then, because
That's true.
then.
Umbrella Academy, looking at
Yeah.
you.
And if you were assigned the role of captain of a light speed spaceship tomorrow, what would you go to explore for? Would it be for planet colonization, a search for alien life, or would you just like to just go fast anywhere?
I would enjoy searching for alien life. I think that would be very cool. Again, the practical side of me says we probably would not hurt us to look at colonization a little. Might want to go somewhere. Might want to go somewhere fast one of these years pretty soon.
That would be
Yes.
very nice, actually. Make a lot of ships so a lot of us can leave. Yeah,
Mm.
that would be very good. And then the last question, and it's for Terry, is if you found a hidden portal to another dimension, would you step through it? And what do you think would be on the other side?
That is a very good question. And I actually wrote a short story about
Oh,
this
look at
very
that.
topic in which the main character chose not to go through the portal. And as the main character in that story says, like, are you nuts? Like every time there's a portal story, there's people like with swords or evil wizards on the other side, like trying to kill us. Like, why would I go through the portal? So yeah, I would wait for other people to report back. Like, is it safe? If there's like talking animals over there and it's super cute and fun, sure, okay, then I'll go. But sight unseen, nope.
Nope.
I'm just closing the wardrobe and walking away.
Ladies, thank you so much for so much. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for answering all these crazy questions. Thank you for a collaboration, which I think is going to be so wonderful, so exciting, and so much fun. We can't thank you enough. And like I'm at a loss for words for how exciting and what it means to me and Angie to be part of this. I think it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah. So can you tell everyone where they can find you both, and then also where they can find Strong Women, Strange Worlds on the internet?
Yeah, I'm at terrybruce.net. So my first and last name.
I'm at NidamPrints.com. That's prints as in printing, PRINTS, not as in someday my prince will come. So NidamPrints.com. And then Strong Women Strange Worlds is at strongwomenstrangeworlds.weebly.com.
And then they also have a YouTube channel also by the same name, Strong Women Strange Worlds.
And if you do go to the strongwomenstrangeworlds.weebly.com, there are links there to the YouTube channel. There's a link to the now defunct podcast episodes that we had before. There's links to
Bookclubs.com.
what we call our handouts, which is the lists of the books that have ever been read with us. All the authors who have ever read with us and their books are listed by the date of the event. So.
And you said you have a that they can sign up for a newsletter as well. And is that where they would find out when the next reading will be and sign up the sign up link for that? Or
Yep, we have a newsletter. All the upcoming events are listed on the website. We're also on Eventbrite, and so people can follow us at Eventbrite. We're on Goodreads. We also shelve all the books and stories that have been read with us, so people can also go there to see the list of past books. We're on bookclubs.com and in the process of starting a book club. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We're thinking about TikTok maybe. I've got an idea for that, but we need volunteers to help out with I want to do the speed data book, 2-minute videos on TikTok. That would be amazing, but we need some volunteers to help out. So yeah, we're all over, but people just go to the website. They can find links to everything.
Good.
All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up and say goodbye. And thank you again so much to both of you for coming on and sharing strange. I was doing good for a while there. I was doing good. Strong Women, Strange Worlds. Swaswa.
Thank you so much for having us. This is really wonderful. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So if you guys like these videos, please like, and especially please subscribe to our channel. And also after this, go over and subscribe to Strong Women Strange Worlds. That way, when these videos come out, when we do the collaboration videos, you'll know when they're going to come out, and you can watch them and get all the content that you want. If you just hit the notification bell, they'll notify you when they come out. So it's pretty easy.
Thank you so much, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Curious to find out more about those author readings we teased? Head over to Strong Women Strange Worlds and binge watch their author quick reads.